Hey everyone, I finished watching the next episode of Power Rangers Lightspeed Rescue. Time runs out. It was an okay episode. It's a really weird one because the whole episode, up until like the very end, it's a really standard, pretty bland episode. Like, it's not bad, it's just there's not anything that really stands out about it until the end, which is completely disconnected from the main plot going on. It starts off with. Now, the beginning is kind of interesting. It starts off with Olympius overhears Queen Banshira telling Jinxer that she doesn't like the job Olympius is doing and she's going to put Lokai and Vipra in charge. He doesn't want that, so he lures Vipra and Lokai out to the middle of somewhere and tells them that he wants to work with them. And alright. So anyway, as they agree, these vines pop up out of the ground, grab them, and pull them underground, and then Olympia stabs at the ground, which I'm really surprised they were allowed to get away with that. It seems like the type of thing that would be a little like he doesn't hit them. They show up later in the episode and they're fine. But it's just kind of unusual that I don't know, something kind of dark like that would have stayed. Like, I don't think that's the type of thing they would do now. I can't imagine, like, if, I don't know, dang it, are there any villains right now in Power Rangers who don't get along? Like, I don't know, I guess if, spoilers, no, I won't bother spoiling Dino Fury. Uh, anyway, onward with, Lightspeed. See, the theme song plays, what's going on? Oh yeah, the Rangers go to, investigate something, and this plant monster shows up. He shoots vines around their morphers, and they can't morph. Then he says that flowers will come out of the vines, and they'll spread poisonous spores eventually, like by sunset or something. I don't remember. Anyway, the Rangers go back to the Aqua Base, and they're zapping the flower, trying to get rid of it. And at first, it looks like it works, but then it doesn't. And then Joel is trying to take like garden shears to it, and they won't work. And then Carter gets an idea. They take the Max Solar Zord up into space. They all lock themselves into seatbelts, open the hatch, and then just let all the spores shoot out into space where they won't hurt anybody. Except unless there's like some people hanging out in space, like Mike floating around in Lost Galaxy. But I'm guessing that won't happen right around Earth. Anyway, uh, Kelsey's seatbelt comes undone and she almost flies out, but then they get her back in. And it was really weird because it's an okay scene. It's fine. But there's not really any tension. I know they're not going to actually kill Kelsey or have Kelsey get sucked out because the episode's almost over with. Anyway, they go back to Earth. They fight the monster. He's immediately defeated. Jinxer makes him grow. They defeat him again. Oh, and then there's a weird thing. When he grows, Olympius like casts a spell, darken the sky, and it also makes a bunch of big fires show up everywhere. I don't know what that's all about, but anyway, uh, they defeat the monster, and then we get to the interesting part of the episode. Vipra and Lokai didn't die. They pop up in this desert somewhere, and it's a very familiar looking desert by this point. It's that desert from the beginning of Lightspeed that those guys found the demon's tomb. And interestingly, Vipra recognizes it before Lokai does. I don't know if Lokai, like, I don't know, did Lokai have his eyes closed? Was he half asleep while they were in there or something? Anyway, Ryan just happens to be there. He sees them come up. He's watching what's going on. They go down into the tomb. Not Ryan, Viper and Lokai. Viper and Lokai go down into the tomb. They take a rope. They uh, draw it down one of the sarcophagi, and someone climbs out. We see a hand, and I feel like maybe that could have been where the episode ended. But no, it keeps going, and it's Diabolico. Diabolico is back. That's awesome, because I really like him. I like him more than Olympius, and it's funny because, like, I was thinking about, there was some interviews and stuff that I remember hearing with Judlin, Chiplin, and Jonathan Zacher, and some other people from, like, Comic-Cons or something, and they were talking about Lightspeed, and what went into some of the decisions made behind the scenes, and one of the things was Judd Lynn didn't like Olympius. He didn't like writing Olympius, and he thought Diabolico was a way better character and that Diabolico should have stuck around longer. So this was done partially because they wanted to bring Diabolico back into the show. So anyway, that's an interesting little tidbit. Anyway, let's see. Ryan sees them resurrecting Diabolico. The bad guys decide to team up against Olympius. And that's something I always liked in Power Rangers, when the villains would plot against each other and form factions against each other. Especially when it was like, when they were unified at the beginning, and then they slowly turn on each other and backstab. And it's a neat little, like, a counterpoint to the Rangers being all about teamwork, whereas the villains are, the complete opposite. They're against teamwork. They're breaking up. They're turning against each other. But in some ways, they are forming their own team against another part of their team. Whatever. Anyway, it's an okay episode, and it's a really weird one because not much happens until the end. Like, the ending is the part that people remember this for. The rest of the episode with the plant monster, I think his name was Vile Vines or something, like, he's fine, and the thing he does is fine. The way the Rangers resolve it, that's fine. But it's just so standard compared to what happens at the end, and I feel like the ending should have been what the focus was. The whole episode should have been Viper and Loki resurrecting Diabolico. I feel like they really could have built more of a story around that and featured Ryan more, because Ryan pretty much just shows up and he's like, oh no, I should warn the Rangers. And then that's the last we see of him for a couple more episodes. Or I think he shows up next episode to actually tell the Rangers what's going on. And then after that, we don't see him again until Sorcerer of the Sands, I think. Let's see, let me look in the little booklet here. Yeah, let's see. Its time runs out. Free zone. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, it's like 7 or 8 episodes before he shows up again in a major way. I can't remember, like, maybe he has like a cameo here and there at the end of another episode, but yeah. Really sucks to be Ryan, unfortunately. They put so much into introducing him, and then they just chucked him off the show, and he gets to pop up once in a while and things like this. Anyway, still, it's a decent episode. I like it, but it's just, I feel like the ending could have been the focus of it instead of the generic monster of the day. So yeah, that's my thoughts on this episode. Hope you enjoyed this. See ya.